Hello everyone, good morning, good evening. So today we'll cover the below topics. It's basically I call it as a Java development ecosystem. So mainly I'll go through the what all the technologies are currently used, what all the tools are currently used, databases, hosting platforms, logging frameworks, UI technologies are in use, build technologies, build tools, version controls. So mainly it is the whole ecosystem in any Java developer uses in any of the application development. So I just try to summarize it in a way so that you can understand each and every component you involve end to end from a development to deployment to a testing. So just let us see the details one by one. See here you can see the just a diagrammatical representation of that. So programming language is of course a Java 8 plus is mostly used now, but even though Java latest 16 is available are going to come very soon, and now Oracle is releasing almost 6 months once a new version of that. But I do still feel that most of the companies or developers still uses Java 8 plus, and few of them now migrating to 11. But I feel Java 8 is currently most used version for now. And in terms of architecture, like we might heard like monolithic and microservices and all those things as architecture and everything, but most of the discussion is currently going on with the monolithic and microservice now. So that what type of application you're building and which type of architecture you are using, that defines you, like monolithic, whether you are developing a single application, whether you are developing a microservice application. So that solely depends on your architecture pattern what you decide. Now we have a latest frameworks or libraries you can call in the web section. You can see that you have a Spring Boot. Yes, of course, this is now currently most widely used, and everyone has a lot of benefits and everything. And Spring MVC also is been used before the Spring Boot. Now also a lot of the companies still uses Spring MVC, but they are trying to migrate to Spring Boot as well. And JSF starts as RR. Before it was used by the most of the people and everything, but now I would say it's reduced drastically because now Spring Boot and other lightweight frameworks on the UI has come across like a React, Angular. So there are still a lot of migration is happening from the older application which uses a JSF struts. So they are migrating into a new version of the libraries of UI and everything. So GWT is Google Web Toolkit before most of like kind of creating a desktop applications or desktop applications and other things. GWT is used. Still you can see in some of the companies it is used as a part of the their application development. And the UI, yes, of course you might have heard like React.js, AngularJS are too fast growing up UI libraries. React is currently gaining a lot of momentum. Angular is still it's also behind that. So React, Angular, Vue.js, and you have other JS library as well. But currently, I feel these three are on the top now, competing with each other. And ORM framework, object relation mapping frameworks, like before you used to have like JDBC and everything connections. So now we migrated to Hibernate later the point of time, and MyBath is those things. So still Hibernate is used widely because it gives an object relation mapping, so that's you need not to worry about the transactions at the database level, so that you can control at the object level itself. So ORM frameworks are currently those things. And desktop frameworks are JavaFX and Swing. Swing and Applets are used very early stage of the Java development, and later it is moved to JavaFX, and I feel JavaFX is still the best desktop framework in the Java available. It gives a lot of varieties and everything, a lot of components otherwise, and you can still have that. Vodin also comes here. I didn't mention here, but still Vodin also have a latest application framework for development of very good desktop UI and as well as the web UI as well. Okay, so when it comes to IDE, so now we have Eclipse, most of them using Eclipse only. Now IntelliJ, NetBeans, Spring Tools would are used, but I personally prefer to use IntelliJ because maybe I'm too comfortable with the IntelliJ because I'm using it quite some time now. So these are the currently mostly used IDEs we have for that and Java development. And the database side, now currently it is categorized into SQL and the NoSQL. So SQL are mostly organized databases what we used to have, like MySQL, Oracle, and PostgreSQL. Those things where the transaction data is stored and it is in a hierarchical manner or a mapping. We used to call it as a mapping in the SQL everything, but in the new SQL it's just a document data. You can store like n number of amount of a data here. It just do a search on that MongoDB. But when to use SQL, when to use a NoSQL, it's wholly depend on which type of application you are going to use. Generally, for example, if your application is dealing with the transactions related to like critical transactions like money transactions and banking transactions, everything, so generally preferred use is SQL, Oracle, or any of the SQL database. But if you have most of the document related data like creating an APIs or exposing an APIs to the others, you are building a marketplace kind of a thing, so more or less you have a publicly accessible data and you have a huge data to display, then probably you should use a NoSQL. But it's clearly depend upon your architecture pattern and how you want to architect your whole application. Now next, coming to code repository. So you might have heard like GitHub and Bitbucket and SV and everything. So now I feel most of the developers are using GitHub and migrating to GitLab as well, which provides you the DevOps capability as well. So GitHub, Bitbucket, SV, so you can consider it as a code storage or repositories, whatever the convenient for you. So you can call that, but it's mostly used now. And now unit testing is now an integral part of any development. So without unit testing, it is not complete. Or if you want to define a definition of a done for any of the use case, unit testing is one of the basic checklist in that you should have. So that JUnit, Mockito, and TestNG, these are the frameworks we have in the Java. A lot others as well, but mostly I see these are things used for now. And they are improving quite a lot day by day. So you can see these testing frameworks available. And build and integration tools, yes, of course. Now Maven, Gradle, and Ant we have. So before I used to see that Maven, still I see it's a leading one, but most of the people are trying to migrate to Gradle now. Gradle and Ant is, I see, very less used as of now. And Jenkins, TeamCity, Hudson, these are the, you can see integration tools, build tools like CI/CD tools, where you commit your code through your GitLab or Git access to using a Maven build tools. Then it will deploy into Jenkins for a DevOps process, or maybe you can say the deployment process, where you will be using these other tools. Most of them are paid one that is generally largely used by the enterprise applications or enterprise the companies for these enterprise applications. Now API testing tools. Now when we are talking about Spring Boot and other things, so you do generally create APIs through the REST or SOAP services or WSDL files, everything. So how do you test them? So that is basically nothing but a Postman or a SOAP UI. So you can test your APIs using a Postman or a SOAP UI. You don't need to have a separate UI to develop to test your APIs. So you can just test your backend APIs using a Postman or a SOAP UI. So that really helps. It has a lot of other capabilities, so that it gives all the parameters, headers, what it requires, everything. So you can just directly test your backend APIs using these tools. These are very simple to use. You can just try it out. And now one more checklist of the definition of done, where I said it's a code quality. Definitely we need to maintain the code quality percentage over there. So you can integrate with a SonarQube tool or PMD, find bugs. These are the tools or libraries we have which we can integrate with your IDs and then just run through those things. It will show you what all the bugs or findings it has, and you have to work on that. Like it will show you the criticality and then the major minor issues, so that you have to define a rule for yourself and then work on those things. So these are the basic one, easy to use and then most efficient way you can increase your code coverage and everything. Now let us come to the deployment or hosting, you can say. Now if you talk about any deployment, that the only one thing comes into mind, like it's a cloud. The whole of the IT infrastructure is moving into cloud, even though it's not moved 100%, everybody is option exploring it more or less, like to move to cloud. Probably you would see it in the next 5-10 years. You may not be surprised if it's almost 80 to 90% has been moved to cloud. So you have a 3 good cloud providers like AWS, GCP and Azure. That's for Amazon and Google for the GCP. So you can use any cloud platforms, and if you want to deploy into application servers or anything, like you have a JBoss, Tomcat and Glassfish and WebLogic Oracle. So JBoss is mostly used, and then Tomcat as well, as I see. But now if you move to cloud, you don't require these to have it in yourself. That cloud will handle for you everything. So you will do a cloud based development and then you deploy your application to directly cloud, and cloud provider will take care of everything, and then you have to pay the charge for them based on your usage. That's how the whole deployment process is moving towards into the new generation now. Now other some of the miscellaneous things, like in any development, like a microservice development or any messaging queue development, so you use a messaging queues. Like now we have ActiveMQ, RabbitMQ or a Kafka. These are the messaging queues which is used. Messaging queues are mostly used to communicate between the two different systems, you can call. Like you can send some of the message data through the messaging queue, and somebody will consume and somebody will produce those things. So this time you can make a data consistency between two different systems, and you can have a DLQ, like you can store that messages for a certain period of a time, and you can make it invalidated, or maybe you can remove, or you can store. There are a lot of other facilities these messaging queues give. That's one of the good option to use to maintain your data consistency and based on your architecture. And you might be using like project management tools like general Jira and Confluence are used in most of the companies. Enterprise applications uses these things to maintain their you can say requirements or user stories or whatever the details, everything, designs and everything, all the docs and creating. So you can use them as a tools for a project management or a content management or issue management at that. When it comes to performance and monitoring, yes, there are some paid tools like AppDynamics, Splunk, and then you can use a Visual VM, JProfiler, JMeter for performance testing and monitoring of applications. Splunk is mostly used for your logs to generate, and it generates a very good data out of it and gives all graphs and everything. So AppDynamics as well, so it maintains all the dependencies and coverages between the systems and different portals and everything. So these are the common generic systems are in place which most people are using as of now for the performance and monitoring, and more than that as well. So a lot of other options I just try to put in a briefly here, so that at least you know the names and you can go and search in the internet and see what all it can do, and then if it fits to you, you can just use them. And this is the most important. Other one is like Docker and Kubernetes, and these are the containerized development system which currently most of us are adopting. So you can deploy, you can just do your deployment and you just deploy into any Docker container or Kubernetes, everything. So in fact, so you need to worry about the whole infrastructure or environment, so because you are deploying into a container, so that container will be specific to a particular environment. So you don't need to worry about the environment specific development. You just have to deploy as per development, deploy as per your container information or container provides, like a Docker, everything. So yes, these are the containerized development for you. Yes, so I'll just try to give all the high level information what it is here, so that I'm just trying to give you the information what it is generic available outside, and try to summarize in one place, so that you know what we are using and for what it is used in the market, and you just need to don't worry about like yes what is the UI tools or what is the other tools, databases, everything. So from end to end development to testing to deployment, so these are the mostly used components or tools or libraries, I can say. So you can just refer. So I'm trying to give a briefly call it as a Java development ecosystem, and in the next video I'll come up with a detailed video on each one of these things, and I'll explain you how the end-to-end integration works and all the components, how it is used. Thank you. Thanks a lot.